Guys, welcome back to the Hawk Zone Rundown. We got a really cool episode for you today. We are comparing mock drafts. So I did a mock and Bryce did a mock, and we're going to go through it round by round and kind of pick it apart, why we chose who we chose, and just kind of overall grade each other's mock at the end of it, and just kind of see how realistic this could be and how this could really shape up the team moving forward into camp here. And then also coming up on the show, we're going to touch on Mike McDonald and how some people, now not everybody, it's split, but it's just taking some of the photos down on the wall and repainting and all that, and we're going to touch on that and why some people might be losing their minds over it. And also, lastly, we're going to touch on the possibility of a running back returning back to the Pacific Northwest. Bryce, what's happening, man?
Hey, man, I'm getting excited. Draft's almost here. I'm super stoked for this show to compare our mocks and obviously, our listeners to comment and see what mock they like, which guys we took at certain spots. I definitely have a few surprises, I think, for some of our listeners and for you on my mock. So yeah, man, I'm super excited. Let's get into this.
Let's get into it. Mock comparisons on the other side.
Well, I'm the best corner in the game. What a run. Marshawn Lynch. Get off me.
DK. Hey, it's John Schneider with Seattle Seahawks.
That's the result you want.
This offense, just in general. I mean, you had a
Me
guy
just
like
watching
that.
his film, he seems more of a back.
Just the
that-
presence he's got in that pocket, the way he throws the football. Rust days, man. All the scrutiny that line was under.
This Monday night's big.
Guys, welcome back to the show. Before we get going, real quick housekeeping. If you guys like what you hear and like what you're watching, go down, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button and notification button so you don't miss future episodes, because we want to keep bringing you this content. Everybody that has subscribed, showing us love, we honestly, we really appreciate it. And we appreciate you guys. So Bryce, let's get into it. What's going on with some of the backlash with what's happening now with some of the old stuff getting taken down? I mean, there's a little more to the story, but what are your thoughts? And is this out of the norm? Is that unusual? What's going on?
I wouldn't say it's out of the norm. I look at it, John Schneider talked about it on his show, saying they're going to like digital formats. They're going to have screens up everywhere, and they're going to have stuff from like Mike Holmgren's era and Sean Alexander and all those different Seahawk eras playing through. I think more for me, what I think it is with some of these people that are now coming out of the shadows about, oh, you can't be taking it down, you're wrecking history and all that. There's two pieces to this for me. I look at it as we're never going to recreate that group of individuals ever again. Like most Seahawks fans, I think, understand that, but there's a small group that I don't think understand that the LOB and that linebacking core and Russell and Pete and just how that all organically came together through drafts and player acquisitions. That's not going to happen again. And, we every time, like you've touched on in previous pods, every time we get a new DB, Witherspoon shows up. Oh, we're recreating the LOB 2.0. I heard some guys on another pod today talking about, if Seattle drafts Quinyon Mitchell, like you're recreating the LOB 2.0. Like that needs to stop. The LOB is the LOB. That is what it is. There was never a recreation of the 2000 Ravens defense or the 85 Bears defense or some of the great defenses of all time because they're such generational talent. So I think from a lot of fans, it's the realization that is now over. That era of Seahawk football is now done. And yes, there's some carryover with John Schneider and some of the players, but I think that the reality is it's done. I think people need to understand that Mike McDonald wants his own slate. He doesn't want to be living in any shadows or mottos on the wall. And like John said, and Mike wants to do, he wants to create his own. He's already starting one. They want to, I can't even remember what it is because I'm not used to it yet, but I think it's setting the edge. They want to be setting the edge. Well, that maybe is the start of their motto. And you listen to the players aren't upset about this. The players were a part of this decision. It was an organizational decision. It wasn't Mike McDonald walked in and started tearing things off the wall, and they still have their Super Bowl trophy. Now, apparently there's one photo in particular that people are upset about that did get taken down, and that's the Paul Allen one with him holding the Super Bowl trophy. That one I would have left because Paul Allen has had such a significance, but I understand that, I'm in slogans everywhere and always compete and all those things. Those are Pete's things. This is now Mike McDonald's football team, and people need to understand there's going to be change. There's one coach that got held over from the previous regime, and that's Carl Scott. Other than that, everything's new. So everyone needs to kind of just understand they're not disowning the past and what was great. They're just trying to now turn that vision and move forward in the right direction. You don't forget your past, but you leave the past in the past.
Yeah, you're right. And you and me talked about it. It was just getting tiring, the Legion of Boom 2.0. And that's one thing. But this is what happens. A new regime comes in, a new coach. Like you said, the slogans, even guys talk about, is the hoop going to be up? I mean, honestly, why don't you let this man come in and try to put his own stamp on it before everyone gets, up in arms? Like it, like you said, it's going to digital format. I mean, Mike's not coming in being like, I want to erase everything that's happened here in Seattle. Like, that's not what's happening. He's saying, this is how I'm doing stuff, and it's not an ego thing. It's just how things are getting done. You got excited. Most people wanted, no, not wanted, knew it was time for Pete to go. So why are we hanging on to the slogans, to this, to that? He's putting his own stamp on. This is a whole entirely different team. They weren't even around for this. So, let's, and I'm sure they're excited to say, we're moving forward and we're going to put our own stamp on this. So, overall, you and me are in agreement. Like, let's just get past this. It's almost, to me, a non-issue, and just let this guy settle in, put his own stamp on things, and let's get going here and get excited for what's happening, man. Also, real quick, a familiar face could potentially be returning. I mean, obviously he came for a visit. He's a guy I like, and I actually was sad to see him leave. Obviously, injuries were an issue with him, but if he comes back, he's not your main guy. We're talking Rashaad Penny back in the building, for potential return. You get the guy on the cheap. Obviously, right now, you lost DJ Dallas. Yeah, you talk about Kenny McIntosh, but he's yet to be known what he can actually bring to the table. You bring in a veteran now, and what a debacle in Philly. Like, what was going on with there? So he's gone. You bring in a guy like that, and there's just really no expectations at this point. You still have, obviously, K9's your main guy, and then compete for touches. What's your thought, and what would you like to see Penny come back?
I think having Penny come back is an interesting notion on like a vet minimum deal, where you could cut him after training camp. If you do bring him in, to me, he's a hedge against the draft. I kind of feel like the visit was like, kind of feel out the waters of the running back market, what's left. There's familiarity there. He knows, John Schneider, obviously, and the city very well. But I think it all depends on if they come out of a running back with, a 6th or 7th round pick that's coming in to compete, because he's not going to take touches away from Charbonnet or Kenny.
Right.
Ken Walker, I should say. But then, he could battle with Kenny McIntosh for that spot. If you bring in Rashaad, I don't know what value there is when Charbonnet is essentially the same runner with less mileage on him, because Penny's not going to be a third down back. Penny's not going to really help out in the kickoff return game. Like, I know he did in college, but based on his injuries and stuff, and they've kind of already cemented that with Laviska Shenault.
Right.
I could see it, but it would be more of, hey, we're bringing in a body for camp, not a, hey, we're bringing you in to play significant snaps.
Right. And it's a body for camp, and you know how that position is too, right? I mean, injuries happen. Maybe they're in camp. Maybe, it's not like K9 and Zach haven't been hurt before either. So, that's a guy where you can think, I mean, before he got hurt there, and that the previous season, he was running wild. Like, I mean, he was like, okay, that's the first round back that you took, in that draft, and you got excited about him. He's a fun guy to watch. So, I agree. He could be a camp piece, and then kind of, that's the thing. These guys at that position, they get hurt easy. So, I mean, I like the guy. It was hard to see him when his season ended there. You just look like you felt for the dude. It was like this guy just battled through injuries, and you just seemed like a good dude to have in that building, and a hell of a runner when healthy. So, like I said, I'm all in favor. Like you said, get him on a vet minimum deal. He's in camp, and then you kind of see from there. But I agree with you too. He's not, he's not taking touches away from a healthy Zach and a healthy Canine. But like I said, injuries are an issue. But yeah, man. So we'll see. Look, let's get into the meat of this pod tonight that I'm excited about. You and I talked about, done a few mocks. Did a big mock with Dan Vians. So now you and I said, okay, we're getting close. We're 6 days out from the draft. Like, this is getting real. And so what you and I did, we did our own mock separately, right? You did your mock on your own. I did my mock, and we're coming on here. I don't know your mock. You don't know my mock. So we're going to go round to round, see what we did. I don't know if you sticked and picked at 16, vice versa. So let's kick this off, right? We're going to kick it off in round 1. So I'll come in. I don't know if you want to come in first. Let's start with your round 1. You want to do that?
Sure. I'll start with my
Okay,
round 1.
Break it down, and then we'll flip over to my round 1.
All right. So for my round 1, obviously we are at pick 16. The way the board fell to me, Fatanu and a bunch of the good linemen were off the board. So was Jared Verse. So I ended up trading back. I ended up making a trade with Detroit, and I got Detroit's 29th pick, their 29th pick in the second round, their 29th pick in the 5th round, and a conditional 4th round pick in 2025 for my pick 16. So I got a pretty good haul out of that.
Yeah.
I was able to, recoup. So obviously went down to pick 29, and lo and behold, at pick 29, I saw some value. I thought about trading out, didn't. I ended up taking Cooper DeJean out of Iowa. So I went with, hey, I'm going to give, they weren't the pass rushers. There wasn't, Barton had just gone off at the pick before.
Yeah.
So I thought, you know what? I'm going to give Mike McDonald a versatile guy. They list him as a corner. He's going to play safety. So I went and got us a true universal weapon piece in the first round late. Extreme value there, I think. So that was how my first round shaped up.
You know what? This is crazy. Did you copy my mock draft? Because this is what happened to me, man. I was at the same thing. He was gone. Fatano was gone. Right. I was just thinking about that 16. A couple of the other guys were gone. So I'm looking at 16. Let's see what trade. I traded with the Green Bay. I traded with the Packers. No, wait. Sorry, that's wrong. I traded with the Lions. So I looked to trade with the Packers first. I didn't like it. So I go to Detroit. So I go get number 29, right? And I get back in the second round at 29. So I got exactly like you, except I also picked up a 4th round pick, I think. So anyways, so I go down to 29, same thing. I said, what do we want to do here, right? We're talking defense. Even Fatano, I like him, but I'm like, man, let's go get an impact dude. Like, we got with generational pick last year with Witherspoon, and you saw the mentality of him and just what that can mean to a defense and a team. So I go and draft Cooper DeJean. and I'm telling you right now, dude, that I like this kid. And like you said, he's so versatile. Mike McDonald kind of guy, and like a dude that can just fly around everywhere. Like you said, okay, you want to he's playing safety, great. He can play some outside corner, great. Like that room ain't set as far as I'm concerned. You got Devin Witherspoon. This kid starts balling out, okay, there you go. But you can move this kid around, and that's what it is now. So Mike has a chess piece that he can just let loose. And I looked at him, I'm like, you know what? Okay, and obviously I'm gonna fill up the room later, and of course I want to get alignment, but you just kind of kick it off with this kid, and I just like him so much. So, man, first round, like we're on the track, the same draft, man. So, but I really like this kid. I was super excited that he was there. Like, that was the thing, because he was on my board. I liked him. I and now if we're talking real 29, is he going to be there? That I don't know. So, but when he was there at 29, boom, to me it was a no-brainer.
In my opinion, we've talked about how the first round is going to fall and how many quarterbacks we think are going to go in that top 10. That's a lot of top 10 talent that's going to get pushed down the board. So
Right.
Cooper DeJean, in my opinion, is a top 10 talent in this draft. And getting him at pick 29, you're going to get the fifth-year option. You can't really balk at that because he's a blue chip prospect. Like, he's going to be a guy that is going to come in and play well right off the bat.
Right.
So no, that's really funny that both of us picked Cooper DeJean in our first round of our mock.
Yeah. So anyways, like you said, you traded down, you jump back in the second round.
Yep.
I jumped back in the second round. So pick number 29 in the second round. Who did you grab?
So I actually traded back again.
Okay.
I wanted to get in the meat of the draft, which I think is between rounds 3 and 4, or 3 and 5, I should say. So I took my pick 229. I only traded back 3 spots with Kansas City. And I picked up a 5th round pick, number 38 in the 5th round. And so when I got back on the board, lo and behold, I addressed our O-line a little bit. And I took Cooper Beebe out of Kansas State. And I think Cooper Beebe, he's a starting guard right away on the left side of this offense.
Right.
So, I think that helps solidify that. So I'm starting to build that middle of our trenches on our O-line. I went Cooper Beebe at pick 232 or pick round 2, 32nd pick.
So you moved down 3 picks, right? You made
Yeah.
So you picked up another pick. Cooper Beebe, man, I'm telling you right now, man, the listeners are gonna have a tough time getting through this thing because these drafts are identical. I didn't trade back. I stayed at 29. I took Cooper Beebe, right? So, I'm not even joking you, man.
We've been doing this way too long, man.
This kid's awesome, dude. And like you said, you get him in the interior O-line and he's ready to go, right? And like basically everything you just said, he's just he's ready to go. 13 starts at left guard and Big 12 O-lineman of the year both in 22 23, team captain, so has that leadership quality too, right? So guy that you can just slot right in there and feel pretty good about it, right? So that's what I'm looking at, man. But that is funny. I was like, man, second round's got to be different, man. So let's go to the third. So you're in the third, right? So how many thirds you got right now?
I've got 1 3rd-round pick, pick 17 in the 3rd round, and I stuck and picked here. I didn't move, just because I knew I had 2 4s, 2 5ths, 3. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to stay. I think there's some value here. And so for me, I took a D lineman here, an interior D lineman, but I think he's got some universal capabilities. There are some question marks with him where he's a bit of up and down, hit and miss, kind of Malik McDowell vibes a little bit, but nowhere near with the off the field issues. So I stuck and pick and took Mason Smith out of LSU.
Okay. Nice. Yeah, beauty, man. Okay, well, we're gonna mix it up a little bit now. So I'm 3rd round. I got the 9th pick in the 3rd, right? So I stuck there, and so obviously you and me both think that you take a guy like Cooper DeJean to just be that weapon and just that star. Then obviously Cooper, we got interior O-line help there. So I said, okay, you know what? Kind of was like, do I dress linebacker? I mean, I'm not sure. You know me, I still want to get a quarterback in this draft, but I took Cedric Gray, right? So I said, okay, let's bring this kid in. I was like, maybe it's a little early, but I figured just with some of the linebackers that are already come off the board, I figured, okay, if I'm kind of looking and targeting a linebacker at this point, let's take a shot at this kid. So, I do like him. Pretty productive linebacker, right? 3 seasons in North Carolina, 365 tackles, pretty good against the run. He's not like, he's I mean, for linebacker now, he's kind of fitting that mold, like 234, right? 6'2". So, I just 4'6", 440. I just like a lot of things about him, man. It's kind of like just watching some of his film. I was like, you know what, kind of some big play highlights, and just felt like, okay, let's kind of fill up that linebacker and young guy to come in and kind of compete for a spot with the two free agents we've signed so far.
No, I like that pick, man. I definitely think linebackers an area they could go in the third round and address. And I don't know, obviously, how your board fell, whether Peyton Wilson and Junior
Yeah,
Colson and
Peyton
were
was
all gone.
gone. Yeah, they were gone,
Yeah.
and that's obvious. Peyton was gone. They were all gone. So you kind of looking at like who was left. And I said, you know what? Do I wait? I mean, I like this kid, so I was like, I could see him going even later in that round, right? So
Well, and that's the thing we've talked about with numerous guests is that cliff that kind of happens with linebacker where you've got about three guys that you can give day one, day two grades on, and then you hit a cliff where you're like kind of down into guys that are day three picks or
right,
UDFAs. So no, I think Cedric Gray, in my opinion, Cedric Gray is that tip point for that cliff. Once you get to him and he's off the board, now you're down that slope. So
right.
no, I think that's a good pick, man. That's a solid pick right there in the third round.
Okay, moving on. So you're still in the third round, right? You got another pick?
No,
in the
I'm
third?
in the fourth. I'm in the fourth now. So if you got another third round, you go.
Okay, so what happens is I figured as well too. So I said, okay, you know what? I got a third, I got two thirds. And then I was like, okay, what else do I want to go? I was like, you know what? I really want to just kind of really keep going at defense here. Like I like, we get Cooper, obviously, chess piece, and I think he's gonna be a stud in the league. Then I took care of the linebacker position. So then I went safety, right? So I said, let's bring a young safety in here, and I went Jaden Hicks out of Washington State.
Nice pick.
Yeah, it wasn't, I said, okay, you know what? I think this is kind of a good spot for him. And it just, again, I know we got some young guys, like the Kobe Bryants and guys like that, obviously signing Jenkins, but I figure, you know what? This is a spot where I still think, we can bring in, Julian Love one more year. So, he could potentially be out the door. So I think this was a time like let's bring in a safety. And I feel like I was looking at tight ends, and I just said, you know what, I want to just kind of just really focus on building this D up and just kind of bringing in depth pieces, and that was sort of my thinking when I brought him in.
No, I think that's a good pick. In my mock, he went in the third round. He's a really
Right.
good utility player, and you pair him like you think about, like you said, the safety room. Really, and we talked about it on our last show with Corbin Smith. They're all kind of on 1 year deals. Kayvon Wallace, Rashawn Jenkins, Julian Love's on the last year of his deal. So you took Cooper DeJean in the first. He's going to be a safety. Now you've taken another guy. There's possibly your two safeties of the future right there in the first, 2 days of the draft. So no, I think that's a solid pick right there.
All right, yes, let's move on. Now you're in the fourth, right? So why don't we move? So we're both now into the fourth. Where are you picking the fourth round?
So I've got two spots in the fourth round. I have second pick in the fourth round, and I had pick 18 in the fourth round. So what I did with my first pick is I actually, ironically, because he was still on the board, I ended up taking Cedric Gray as a linebacker because he was right on there. Everyone else had cleared out.
Nice.
So I addressed the linebacker room, got myself a guy there. So yeah, no, like you already touched on earlier, Cedric Gray, I like his playmaking ability. He's got, he's good at dropping into his zone. He can run sideline to sideline. There are some areas where I think for Cedric Gray, he does struggle a bit with what he first sees, he attacks. And so Kyle Shanahan and that may be able to take advantage of that, but the dude's a good athlete, and I think he's going to be a really good player at the next level. So I had pick 18, and I actually ended up making a trade with pick 18 in the fourth round with Houston and picked up another 6th-round pick and their number 23 pick in the fourth round. So I bounced down a couple spots there, and this is where I took a quarterback.
Okay.
So I took my first quarterback, and this guy – I'd done a lot of study on this guy at the beginning of the draft process. I wasn't super high on him. Like, I thought he was going to be a good quarterback. I didn't think he'd be great. Recently, I've really dug into him along with Jordan Travis. And this guy is now, for me, the ideal mid-round pick, I think, for the Seahawks. A lot of people may disagree with me. I took Michael Pratt out of Tulane.
Right.
So I really like him. I really dove into his
What
film.
was Travis on the board still?
Travis was still on the board, and I actually
Okay.
took Tulane.
Okay.
Matt Pratt out of Tulane. The reason for it, he's got ideal size. He's, a big kid. He's athletic. Yes, he doesn't have an elite arm. And like when we think of an elite arm, we got to stop putting people in the category of Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes elite. He's got an arm that I think is above Joe Burrow's arm. He makes great throws. He stands in the pocket. He goes through his reads well. Corbin talked about it the other night. I really think you could bring Michael Pratt in, and he could be my best comp for him is he's a more athletic version of Matt Hasselbeck.
Right.
Is what I think he could be.
Okay.
At his floor. And so I took him here. The cliff was starting. Spencer Rattler had already gone in the second round.
Yeah.
And it was between really him, Jordan Travis, and Joe Milton. And I went, hey, you know what? I want somebody that's a little different, that offers, kind of an in-between a Geno and a Sam Howell skill set, but he's only 22. So again, he's a younger quarterback. He can truly sit this year, not have to play. If he comes in and competes and, beats someone out for a spot on the roster between Geno and Sam, great. But yeah, that's the quarterback I decided to take in this draft.
Yeah, I like that, man. I know you and me have talked about him. So, that's a great pick, man. So I also had a second pick overall or in the fourth round, and I did go quarterback, and I picked up Jordan Travis. So I said, you know what? I'm not walking out of this draft without a quarterback because, like I said, I want to see Seattle draft a QB. I know we've had some guests on that say, you know what, some are like, we gotta, it was the time to pick a quarterback was yesterday. So they need to take one. We've also had guests on here that said, you know what, yeah, I'd be okay with them kicking the can down the road and building this and using 24 as a building block. But for me personally, I just think I do agree, but I also think that if you kick the can, I just feel like we're going to be in that same spot where we're picking mid round. We're not picking top 5, top 10 even, so I feel like we're just going to be in that same situation. So if there's a guy there that you like, and like you and I talked about on other pods about Jordan Travis, there's no expectation that he's got to come in and play right away. If his leg's healthy, he can compete. You and I also talked about it, somewhat of a blessing in disguise that, that he could fall down this far because of the leg injury. There might be some unknowns with that. And he just didn't get to showcase as much, right? So I pick him up here. We potentially have a quarterback for the future and a guy to compete. So that's me in the fourth round. I also do have another fourth round pick, number 27.
Okay.
And I picked up Zach Sinter.
Nice.
So I really like him, and it was funny because I get down and I was like, okay, you know what, I have to address the line again, right? And so when I saw Zinter, I was actually surprised that he was almost falling into the fifth round here. So really for me at that point, it was just a no-brainer, right? Just NFL size, NFL toughness, the only thing about him, right? Obviously that devastating, broken tibia and fibula, right? So, again, injuries, some teams just like, you know what? Yeah, I liked him before the injury, but obviously he's going to fall down the draft board. So for me, Zach Sinter, he's another solid guy for that line there.
No, 100%. I think if Zach Sinter hadn't had the injury, there's no way you're getting him in the fourth round. I think he's a day one or day two, early pick in day two kind of guy.
Yeah.
So, I look at that, and again, he can see how his leg is through camp. And then truly, I think he can go in and compete to start right away against Anthony Bradford on the right side.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So for me, it's like, okay, here's some 2 interiors so far in my draft. So I'm really, really, so far, I'm really excited about what I've done, but let's move on to your next pick.
Okay, so we're in round 5 now. I had 2 picks at the later end of round 5. I had pick 529. So I should say that more specifically. Round 5, pick 29. And I also, from the KC trade, had their pick at 38 in the 5th round.
Right.
So with my first pick,
Yeah.
I addressed the D line, but in a different way. I addressed the edge position. Who knows if Darrell Taylor makes it through camp? He may, he's basically on just a guaranteed 1-year deal. So I went and took out of Washington State, Brennan Jackson, and he's been a guy that's been rising up my board, and I think a lot of people's boards.
Yep.
Great work ethic. Again, a guy that you can culturally build around. He has a great, presence about him. You watch him, as he progressed through his college career there at Washington State. He's kind of got Max Crosby vibes to me, if you remember him coming out of the draft.
Mm-hmm.
So I get him there at pick 29 in the 5th round. And then I go, you know what? I took Cooper Beebe. It's been a while. I need to address the interior O-line, but I want to do it with someone that's versatile that could play right tackle in a situation where Abe Lucas can't go and his career is over because of his knee injuries. So I went and took out a TCU, Brandon Coleman. And I think he comes in and he can compete right away to play at right guard against Anthony Bradford. He's a phenomenal athlete, but I think he could also potentially play right tackle and be a hedge against George Fant and Abe Lucas there on the right side. George Fant's getting older. Abe Lucas has the knee issues. So that's where I went with my 5th round picks.
I like it, man. So both of us addressing, a couple of pieces in that interior, which, it's interesting because you look at the guys that you picked up and I picked up. It's not the Fatano out of Washington, like, that the can't miss guy. But you know what? Like Zach Zinter and both of us really like Cooper Beebe, and we got him in the 2nd round. Those are legitimate dudes that and or all the guys, that really you don't know could come in and really kind of compete and make a difference on that old line. So I didn't have a 5th round pick. So I jumped into the 6th round. Where are we at here? Are you out of the 5th round? Or are you still in the 5th round?
I am out of the 5th round.
Okay, so let's move to me. Because I am picking at 6th. I'm 3rd overall, or sorry, 6th round and the 3rd pick. Right. So so what happened with me is I ended up going, I took an edge here, and I took Braden McGregor.
Yes, out of Michigan.
6'5", 257 from Michigan. It's just like his size, his length for an edge. I just liked him. I just thought it was good value, like in this time of this deep in the draft, right? So I said, I like this kid. I've seen a lot of some of his film, and I just said, this is the kind of guy that sort of like just looks the part of an NFL edge, and just straight up coming right off the bus kind of thing. Like, this guy is NFL looking ready, and I just figure, at the 6th round, why not? And look, I like what we got at edge right now. Obviously you want to just keep trying to fill that room up, but so that's why for me, I wasn't like, okay, I got to go edge really, really early. And especially where we're at, right? When we're picking late in the 1st, then you get in the 2nd, 3rd, I said, okay, I got to address other issues. So that was my first edge guy coming off the board in McGregor.
No, and we know the Seahawks have talked to him when they were at the Michigan Pro Day. I definitely think he's a rotational guy. He's not going to be a starting edge for you. No. But again, this is where we're not sure what Darrell Taylor we're going to get.
Exactly.
We know what we're going to get out of Boye Mafe. Uchenna's back. I do think Derek Hall takes a step this year. And, so that's why for me, like, back to my pick in the 5th with Jackson and yours with McGregor, both those guys can also slide in because they're big enough to play inside and not just a true edge player. They can move in like a Mike Morris. So the more flexibility, and that's the one thing with Mike McDonald's defense that we've heard about, is the more versatility and flexibility he has, the better off it is. And so I think when you add players like Jackson and McGregor, You're adding some flexibility, some rotational talent. And at this point in the draft, that's what you're looking for, right? You're looking for
Yeah.
depth. You're
You look
looking
for
for
depth.
some value. You're not necessarily looking for a star. You're looking for a guy that's going to come in, play a role, do something. And I think that's a great pick.
Yeah, and just to follow up with your point, you mentioned guys like Derek Hall and stuff like that. That's the other thing you got to remember. Like we just drafted some guys, Mike Morris. We just drafted some guys the previous draft. So you know people are quick to write them up, like, okay, well who played last year? Okay, well we need edge, we need this. There's guys a lot of the rooms that are on your roster, and we've talked to guys and say, hey, we have to let this play out. You don't write a guy off in 6 months. They're still on your roster for a reason. So you know, your draft strategy has to reflect that.
100%.
Okay, so let's move on. Your next pick, you're in the 6th round.
I do, and I have
Who
3 picks in the 6th round.
Okay, well, I also have another pick, so let's go pick to pick. We'll go your first 6.
Okay, my first 6. So again, I had the 3rd pick in the 6th round.
Mhm.
And this is where I decide to address tight end.
Okay.
And so the tight end had kind of fallen off. Jared Wiley was gone. AJ Banner was gone. There was a bunch of guys that were good players that were gone. But there was still a tight end that I think is an in-between a Noah Fan and a Pharaoh Brown, kind of like what we had in Colby Parkinson.
Mm.
And that's Dallin Holker from
Right.
the Colorado State Rams.
Nice, yeah.
So I think, I took him there. I think he's got really good hands. He's a good red zone threat. He needs to, obviously get a little bit better in his blocking, especially at the initial engagement point of his blocks. But overall, in the 6th round, to pick up a tight end that I can plug and play as a 2 or a 3, and he gives me some pass game threat ability, I don't see a problem with it. And that's why I took him there.
Yeah, I like that pick, man. And then, like you said, dressing the tight end, you and I have talked about it. It's nice. It'd be nice to pick up a tight end in this draft. Just that room's a little thin, and yeah. So, like you said, we were high on Parkinson. So if you can get a guy that sort of kind of resembles some of that, and sort of obviously Parkinson seemed like his trajectory was on the up, and we were like debating, is that the guy you keep? And we're of course we like Noah Fant, just what the idea is that what he can bring in this new Ryan Grubb offense, and he's the best athlete out of the group. But Parkinson's size was nice, and just how he was just kind of coming on as a tight end. So that's good, man. And so I picked in round 6 as well. I actually also have 3 6th-round picks, and so I at number 12, I took I went receiver. And I know you and I
Nice.
talked about it, and we said, you know what, Lockett situation, that receiving room is expensive. Obviously, you and I are huge fans of DK, and so we're not talking about that contract. But again, a contract that's big, and then you're like, okay, well, so what do you do? And I took Taj Washington, and I just like the kid. Obviously, smaller dude. More of a slot. You're really probably not going to see him on the outside. He's just very, very small frame kind of guy. Obviously, 5'9", but he's a smaller dude. He could be in a lot of just scat back kind of slot kind of receiver kind of dude. So yeah, that was where I went there in the middle of the 6th.
So I actually had pick 12 in the 6th round as well. But I went a little differently than you. So I addressed the safety room at this point. Again,
Okay.
Obviously we know Cooper DeJean counts as a safety, the way even though it says positionally he's corner. I went and got a guy that I figure might need a little bit of coaching up, but can come in, play an effective role on special teams, possibly be a big nickel or a big safety, so maybe compete with Kayvon Wallace for that roster spot. I went and got Josh Proctor out of Ohio State.
Okay. Yeah.
I really like him at this spot because I think you're getting really good value for a guy coming out of a Big Ten program, Power 5 school. I think he has a lot of potential upside. He just is a little underdeveloped right now. But when I'm picking him in the 6th round, again, I'm okay if he comes in and competes on special teams right away and gives me some snaps in specialty packages on defense.
Yeah, nice. I like that. And like you said, you're addressing the safety room, and so great pickup. So my next pick, number 16 in the 6th round, what I did was I said, okay, you know what? What have I not addressed yet? And where's maybe the next need? And so I like you was like, well, we gotta get another guy in this room, right? We gotta get another guy in this room. So I went Tanner McLaughlin, tight end.
Nice.
And yeah, and you know what? Canadian kid, right? But
I
and
believe so, yeah.
they really say his measurables. He just plays with like like just a baller. You know what I mean? Like it's like his testing doesn't really match up to what's on tape, right? And I just like him, man. Great hands. Big kid. I think he's about 6'5", 6'6". So I just felt like at this late in the draft to get a guy like that in your tight end room, I was stoked to grab him.
No, that's a good pickup where you've got him at, obviously in the round 6. Again, receiving threat type guy. I think
Yeah.
he's another guy I looked at. He was on my board, but I had to go with, I think, the guy that has a little bit higher upside in my situation.
Right.
So, but no, I definitely like that pick. That's a good pick here late. So I had obviously pick 16 in the 6th round. And this is where I ended up getting some good value, and I ended up taking Taj Washington to come in and play receiver.
Okay. Okay. Nice.
So I got him a little bit later on. But again, I think he comes in, he brings kick returning ability, to go into that role. He can play the slot. He might be able to play some outside depending what you ask him to do. But he's a high yak guy. Like he gets
Yes,
yards after the
right.
catch. His average, catch depth was about between 10 to 18 yards. So he's catching it. He's making moves. I think he just brings you another presence in that room. And that's kind of what Tyler used to be, right? Tyler now catches, falls down, doesn't really go for the extra yards. Have a guy in there. And this also frees up JSN to play more outside, which I think, you listen to a lot of the guys last year talking about him when Seattle picked him. Oh, he's an elite slot receiver and this, that. JSN was phenomenal on the outside, not just on the inside. When we moved him outside, especially in that Philly game, he made some unbelievable plays playing on the outside, and I think that's what his role will kind of grow into. So I ended up taking Taj Washington a couple picks later than you.
Yeah, you know what? I forgot the yak yards after catch, man. That Taj was big time with that. So, and like you said, Tyler, man, that's a perfect example. Like, coming across, making the ground, falling down. We're fine with that because you look at who you got on the outsides. DK, JSN can move out there. And like you said, I think, he was almost typecast as like, oh, this premier slot guy. And it was almost like even when Shane got him at the beginning, it's like, well, he just can't do anything but play in the slot. And then, you're throwing him on these stupid screenplays. And it was just, come on. And then you really saw what JSN was capable of. You're like, wait a second, this dude can play anywhere on the field. Like this guy's just a straight ball player, right? And it's like, so you bring in a guy like Taj, and then you just got those other slot options, right? Which he's just not, people aren't going to pay attention to him as much. So there's a guy coming across open. You just do a lot of different things in that grub offense, right? So yeah, man. Like obviously, I like the pick because I picked him, and but no, I'm just saying, I even if I didn't pick him, I like the pick, and So I guess we're out of the 6th round now. And we're in the 7th round. So basically it was my last pick, 7th round, middle of the 7th, 15th overall. So I just said, you know what, get a guy on the D line. And I just grabbed Justin Rogers. So I just felt like where he was at, grabbed him, and just obviously a depth piece. And that's where I went with my my final pick in the draft there.
Okay, so I had the same pick. I had pick 15 in the 7th round. I didn't go defensive line because I figured with my address of Brennan Jackson and Mason Smith earlier that I had addressed enough of that D line that I figured with pieces we still have. So I went and did something that only Pete Carroll would be proud of.
Oh, here we go.
I took a running back.
Nice.
I took Cody Schrader out of Missouri. This guy I think can come in and could beat out Kenny McIntosh. And this is why I was talking about earlier when we were talking about Rashaad Penny. If I can get a guy like this in the 7th round, he has catching out of the backfield potential. I believe his last year, he had over 400 receiving yards out of the backfield. So, if I can get a guy with that kind of value where I can say, hey, you can be our third down guy and I can trust you to run between the tackles, that's a phenomenal value. And, it pushes Kenny to be, are you going to be able to make and stay on this roster? So that's who I took at picks 15 in the 7th round. So, yeah, man, that was my mock. And obviously we had definitely some similar thought processes on this. But I did like that there were different areas that we did some different things, which was kind of cool. So I can't wait to, see them both up for our, fans to see and subscribers so you can see them both up against. And you know what? Let us know in the comments who you liked, who you didn't like. Where would you have gone different? Me and Ryan love to hear the feedback from you guys.
Let's bring up both of our drafts so we can show everybody kind of the overall summary and just who we're looking at. So obviously we're looking at yours on the left.
Yep.
If I'm looking at the screen, yeah, man. So like
There's
overall, if you look at yours and you look at mine, obviously both took Cooper back to back, right?
Yeah.
So it's like there's your cornerback / safety / wherever you want to move them around the field, interior lineman. Then you go D lineman, I go linebacker, but then right after you go linebacker and I go safety. So we were sort of both defense. And then you and I both take a quarterback. I think at the same one,
You
two,
took
three.
yours I took mine at 428.
You
So
just had
round,
one.
23.
You just had one more pick. Like
Yeah.
you traded for more picks. So, but with our 5th pick, we both took a QB, and then you took Pratt because you started. Now you really get high on him. I obviously go Jordan Travis because he was still sitting there. Yeah, I mean it's similar in a way. I got Zach Zinter, so I get another O lineman. You take Coleman with your interior O lineman. But you look at this draft, we kind of hit a lot of the needs that we've talked about. Both taking a receiver that really a lot of people, like if you talk to them, they'll say, "No, man, why would you even touch a receiver?" But we've discussed the reasons why, and then you take a kid like this so late in the draft, you can get him. I mean, now I would be excited with Taj, man. Like I really would.
No, and I would too. And if I look at this draft board, what it tells me is we've definitely had a lot of guests on. We've talked, you and me have talked. There's a lot of things we look at, but there's just some non-negotiables. And we tried trading back and we took a player in Cooper DeJean that we think is going to be immediate impact. Comes to quarterbacks, we both had our thoughts on it. We both took guys that we could see eventually taking over a starting role in Seattle potentially. And then when I look past that, I look down and say, okay, did you get value? When you're picking in the 5th round, 6th round, 7th round, you're not necessarily looking at, hey, I need to get an impact player. I'm looking and seeing if, hey, can I get a guy that can come in and compete? They can come in and push. They can come in and be a backup for a year and develop into something.
Right.
So I look at both of ours, man, and I think, obviously I had a few more picks than you did, but yeah, man, I like both of our drafts, and you know what? I think we're kind of aligned on what we hope Seattle ends up doing.
I think, yeah, we are aligned. I think that's just, I mean, you and me coming on here weekly and just, we've been talking draft, we've been having different guys on, and you and I, like if you honestly, and we're not going to sit here and be like, hey, you know what, we know everything, and 3 months ago we said this is the guy they got to take a QB. And you look back at that tape, and that's not saying that we went like first we talked about Penix a lot. It was like Penix, and obviously his draft stocks moved up, but talking to different guys and bringing in different perspectives and really thinking, okay, and whether you kick the can down the road, this and that. So I think just based on what we know and different guys we've talked to, different experts here and there, it's to me it's not a coincidence that a lot of our guys have aligned here and that we've really been like, okay, you know what, obviously we got a few different guys, but when you threw out Cooper, I just couldn't, I had to laugh.
That was funny.
DeJean, it is one thing, and then you go Cooper BB. So, but it just shows obviously we know what this team needs. And to me, we've done a few mocks now. That for me, that was one of my I've liked a couple of them, but this one to me, I've like, if we walked away with that, yours or mine, I would be really excited as a Seahawks fan.
Yeah, 100%. I would too. And you know what? Considering this is our last mock draft show before the true NFL draft hits, you and me are going to do one more of these drafts together and see how we align on some of this, depending on how this board falls.
Okay. Mock draft right on the other side. Hey guys, we're back. So we are going to get into this right now. Here we go. Round 1, picking at 16. Let's see how much different this one goes here. And if you stuck around, we appreciate it because we are mocking like crazy right now. So let's get into it. First, skip to our pick, start draft.
Okay.
By the way, walkthemock.com, guys, go check them out. It's our go-to and favorite right now. Yeah. So here we go. Oh wow.
We obviously think
guys,
we think Caleb Williams is going to go to Chicago. Everyone's kind of gone that as consensus. Drake May, number 2. So he went where he went. Caleb Williams goes to New England. Byron Murphy, really high, went to the Chargers. Jaden Daniels falls. JJ McCarthy goes to the Vikings. Bo Nix goes to the Raiders. So we're sitting at pick 16 here, and there's a lot on the board still. Jared Verse is still on the board. Latu, Fonatanu, Cooper DeJean. But again, I don't know if we can stick and pick here, man. I think we have to trade back, in my opinion.
I agree. I want to trade back too, just because it's what we've looked at just the past draft. I just think you can get really good value here, and I think, like you said, because it's so quarterback heavy, that even late in the first, you can get an impact dude. So why don't you kind of look at a trade partner? You went with Detroit last time.
I'm gonna go with, you know what? Oh, what, we just lost everything there. Oh, that was weird. Sorry for that. Apologies, glitch. Let's go with Buffalo.
Okay.
They need a receiver. We know that. They've gotten rid, unless they get Brandon Ayuk, they need a receiver. So let's take pick 128. I'm sorry, pick 28. I think we can go for the pick higher than that. They're gonna have to pay a little bit more to come up.
Yeah.
Well, there we go.
Yeah, let's try that. Let's mix it up. Let's go Bills. We make the trade. So now we'll skip to our pick. And now we accumulated a couple extra picks. So like we said, we want to get that meat of the draft. Okay, so here we go.
And we figured, Bills took a receiver.
Montano's gone.
Verse is gone. Okay, Cooper DeJean went 1 pick before us.
It's too bad, but you know what? Why don't you just go to the quarterbacks really quick? I just want to see the quarterbacks. So yeah, this is interesting. Michael Penix Jr. is still there. Spencer Rattler's still there. We think he's probably a 2nd round guy. Dude, I mean, I know it's like, okay, DeJean for us was that impact dude. He's gone. Obviously.
So here's my thought process.
Let me ask you this really quick, because we've done this before. If he's there at 28, do you take Penix? Are you still high on that guy, or you say, no, you know what? I'm done with that, because if you don't pick him here, you're not getting him.
Well, but that's what I'm trying to figure out right now. If we look at this, Detroit's not taking a quarterback.
Sure.
Nobody in the rest of this round is taking a quarterback. Patriots took Caleb Williams.
Right. Okay.
What did Chicago do with their 2nd pick? Chicago took an edge. They didn't even take a quarterback.
All right. So, okay. Well, there you go. Then
so if I look at where we're picking, way down here,
pretty down there, man.
There's nobody though that I look at.
Tampa Bay.
Maybe we're the Giants. So we'd have to trade.
Giants for
we'd
sure.
have to trade in front of the Giants.
Yeah, he's not getting. He will not get past the Giants. So I either say you take him here, or you try to make a trade for the Giants. I mean, we don't have to take him. I'm just saying, realistically, you look at where he is, and if we're high on him still,
let's see if I can do something.
Do you think
let me mess around here for a second and see if we can't get above the Giants. So who is above the Giants? Just let me see again. So the pick before the Giants is the Colts. Okay, let me see if I can make a trade with the Colts. Indy. So we'll give them this pick. Oh, nope. Oh, it won't let me do it. Darn. I wanted to try and do it. It won't let me do it. Okay. I don't know because I want to see what's the interior O-line. So Jackson Powers Johnson's still there. And so is Graham Barton, man. I don't know.
Okay, you know what? Let's do this. And if we're not thinking panics and we want to say 24 is a building block, I like Graham Barton too.
He's
also
universal.
Yeah,
Besides Patanu, he's the only one that I've seen that can really play tackle and move into guard. Like
Okay,
if he plays guard, I think he's an all-pro.
So to me, it's either between you're making a decision here between Michael Penix Jr. and Graham Barton, like pretty much. So I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna
go with what I think. As realistically as I can do this, I think they're gonna go Graham Barton.
Okay, so there you go. So we're picking Graham Barton. That's our first pick at 28. And so let's skip to our next one. So for our first player off the board, skip to our next pick.
I want to just try and see if I can do something right now with. Oh, I can't. Okay, never mind. I want to see if I can trade. I can't. Skip to the next pick. Okay.
Okay, so we get all the way down to the bottom.
And like we said, the one team that we figured was going to take him took him.
Yeah, so we knew that. So now, in our second pick, both of our drafts, we took Cooper Beebe. He's still available, but you took Graham Barton on the line. Do you go back and go Cooper Beebe again? Do you still say no? Let's figure it out. Let's get two studs.
I want to see what the linebacker room looks like right now. So
Junior Colson.
This is what we were talking
Mike
about.
McDonald guy.
This is what we were talking about in the previous mock comparison. Was there's that cliff? Like it's a steep cliff. Once that happens, Jeremiah Trotter's off the board. Peyton Wilson's off the board. Edgerton Cooper's off the board. I think we got to take Junior Colson here, man.
I agree.
Otherwise, I don't see us getting a value linebacker.
I agree. Let's go. Let's really hit linebacker of the future here. If we like this guy, take him. And we already got Graham Barton. So if Beebe's gone, not the end of the world. So I think lock that pick in. Boom, Junior Colson. And yeah, man. So we're now out of the second round already, but we got two nice pieces to start this draft. Okay, so now we're jumping in. Now we're heading all the way to the third.
Zach Zinter went.
Spencer
Rattler. There you go.
Spencer Rattler. We knew that's for him to even go that, early third's kind of definitely a good spot for him.
And this is what I do like. Yeah, BB's gone, but this is what I do like about Walk the Mock. They're realistic. Sweat is now fallen into the third round because of obviously
issues with him.
That's gone off on field. Oh, Michael Hall Jr. That is somebody I wanted.
D Lemon. Okay, so now we're at 317. Let's just hit all. See where we're at.
Your boy Jaden Hicks.
Jaden Hicks there. Who else we got?
Mason
here?
Smith.
D-line.
Jonah Ellis is someone I'm also interested in as an edge. I think he's actually someone that could come in and 12 sacks last year.
Yeah, nice.
I think he's a guy, but you know what I want to see if I can do here? I want to see if I can recruit another draft. I want to make a trade here.
Okay.
And I think I'm going to trade with Pittsburgh.
Okay.
And see what the Steelers are willing to take. Okay, so 320. Okay. Ooh, that's a little steep. See, I don't like that. They don't have a fifth. Okay, so what about Houston? Actually, let's try Cleveland first. See what Cleveland's got. So they do have a fifth. And the value is very comparable.
21. You get in the fifth.
Oh, I think I can do that one.
Yeah, do it. That's perfect. You get another fourth round pick. Okay, so
we are sliding down.
Okay, so continue. We're gonna
So they took a
slide down.
receiver,
Yeah,
skip to our pick. Damn, Mason Smith went off the board. Leonard Taylor, Kyrie Jackson, Christian Jones. Okay. But Jaden Hicks is still on our board. And
right.
we've been able to acquire
Safety, and
a
we talked
bunch of
about that.
fourth-round capital here. I
Okay,
think we
so
take Jaden Hicks.
let's take him. So
Or
yeah, Joan Ellis is there. I mean,
that's what I'm thinking. Because
okay, you get that edge, like you said, 12
what's the safety
sacks.
room look like right now? Okay, so Kitchens is still in there.
Mm-hmm.
Mustafa's still in there.
Yeah, so we're comfortable that there's a couple of dudes in there. So why
This
don't you
guy, I
go?
think, could be like if I put him in with the safeties. Look, he's the number 2 prospect.
Yeah, why don't you? Yeah, so let's go with your gut, man. You like this kid
I think I'm going to go with
out
this
of
kid.
Utah, so let's go. So Jonas, so you just picked up an edge. All right, beautiful. So now you got Barton. You're really, really, getting that middle on everywhere sort of dialed in right now. Graham Barton, Junior Colson, that we're high on, we like, and now you just got that edge out of Utah. So
There's your run on safeties a little bit, 3 of them.
yeah, there you go. That's quite a bit right there, all bunched up together. Okay, man, we're sliding in right in the 4th round now. Let's take a look at
Your boy Cedric Gray's still there.
yeah. Well, why don't you pop into the quarterback room? Cedric Gray's there, but we got Colson. Why don't we look at there's your guy, and
Yeah.
there's both your guys. So this is exactly where I took, and you took a guy. I took mine second in the 4th. So to me, I think if you don't take one of these guys, our next pick is 418. You might have one of them. I think you would. So do you grab a guy now, or do you wait for 18?
I think we wait to 18.
Okay, so what do you want to address? I mean, and then Milton's there. Obviously, there's a lot of question marks with him.
Yeah.
I mean, to us, it's either Travis or Pratt, right? So now, okay. I mean,
I just want to
O-line,
see.
tight end.
I think we go Theo Johnson.
Yeah, okay. You like that kid.
I do like him. I think he fits a need. It's a little bit different, but we're getting a higher end prospect out of that tight end.
And you're hoping that okay. And if either Travis
or Pratt's there,
you're gonna take him. You're gonna take him at
somebody.
18. Okay, so let's lock that in. So Theo's in. Let's move down to our next 4th round pick, and let's hope quarterback's there. Somebody we want.
So Theo Johnson. So Cedric Gray went there.
Yeah. Let's move all the way down.
Both of them are still there.
Okay, I think we take one now. I mean, we got a lot of 4th round picks, so I think at this point, I mean, you can scroll down and see, okay, who's quarterback needy, between those picks. Like if you look between so you got Pittsburgh. Here's some guys that could use a quarterback. Yeah, Denver,
Chicago, Denver.
Did they take one yet? So Tampa,
I think we got to take our guy here.
I think you take him. So it's on you, man. I know we can go back. So you like Pratt now. So let's lock in Pratt.
So here's the reason why I like Pratt too. He's only 22.
Perfect.
So he's a younger quarterback coming out. You look at his size, 6'3", 220. He completed 65% of his passes, and that's what he's kind of done throughout his entire college career. And I look at, this is the one thing where I've given Pratt a little bit more, of a higher grade, is he played against Caleb Williams, the consensus number 1 pick last year with Tulane and the Green Wave, and beat them in a bowl game. Kid can throw the ball. He's getting a raw deal, I think, because he goes to a smaller school in Tulane. So I'm going to go Michael Pratt here.
Beautiful. Okay, so now we got a quarterback. We have an offensive lineman. Okay, here we go.
So Jordan Travis did go.
Perfect. Okay, so that was smart that we took.
Joe Milton went too.
Joe Milton, right? So they're getting eaten up. So it was a smart move. So now we go back to back. What do you want to address?
What do I want to address? I want to take a look at the D line. So Dwayne Carter's there, McKinley Jackson, Tyler Davis, Gabe Hall. See, this is where it gets kind of interesting. What does the safety room look like? Okay, Malik Mustafa's still there.
I like
I
him.
like him, and I like
Yeah.
James Williams.
Well, let's do it, man. I think you're going back to back. Why don't you dress the safety right now? I mean, you could either go now or it doesn't matter. We're back to back. So take Mustafa. So now you've addressed safety, and now let's go after your next need.
I think in the next need, in a way, is safety still. As weird as that sounds.
I
If I'm
mean,
looking at linebackers, nothing really.
I mean, I think we're good at linebacker right now. You got a potential stud in Colson, and you have another two free agents that one you could extend, right? So I don't see it as being I'd rather go after maybe somebody else on that line for depth, you know. But we
Interior
got
O
our
line. Let's have a look here. So Mason
interior line.
McCormick's another interesting guy.
Yeah, yeah, he is.
I still think it's Brandon Coleman.
Okay, well let's lock him in then. Let's lock him in. Now
And
you
then that
got
gives us some flexibility. So we got two flexible O
flexible
linemen out
guys,
of there.
man, and a stud in Barton, obviously. So now we fall. So we're left with 3 picks left. So let's get down and now you're looking at depth. This is depth. You're in the 6th round, 3rd pick, 16th pick. What do you want to do here?
Darn. Brennan Jackson went to the Eagles.
Okay, so are we looking at the same thing here? Are we addressing a receiver? I mean, is this where you want to sort of say, okay, who's available at receiver, and just kind of go from there?
What do we have left? We have 6'3", 6'16", and 7'15".
Yeah.
I kind of want to take James Williams here because of his freakish ability.
Okay. Yeah, he's a big dude.
Like, he is 6'5", 215. He can play your big nickel. And I just look at the rest of the safeties. I don't see the value. Like, there's Proctor there, but 73 tackles. Like,
that's
I think he's a bit of a chess piece for Mike McDonald.
There you go. And we talked about that. Let's add some more chess pieces with Mike. Something we haven't really done too much in this draft. So get him a chess piece there. And then now you solidify that. So now we got 2 picks, and just
so this is weird. This is really funny, and I just want to point this out. One of the QBs I've talked a little bit about, Devin Leary, actually went in this draft instead of going undrafted, went to Arizona. So I think he's actually slowly someone that could be in play for Seattle realistically. Okay, really so we're sitting here at receiver. Your boy McGregor went off the board. What does the receiver room look like? There's your boy Taj. I do like Jaquan Jackson. He's another small guy. He's ironically, he's out of Tulane. But again, 16.9 yards per completion per catch.
Yeah, I just like Taj, man. I like the yards after the catch. He put up a lot of yards. He just.
So here's my only caveat with Taj, and this is something I didn't talk about on comparisons. If you look at Taj's numbers, 59 catches, 1,000 yards this past season. He had Caleb Williams throwing to him, and also Caleb Williams bought a lot of time, right? We don't have quarterbacks that are going to buy time. Pratt's on our roster currently, Howell and Gino. They're going to be rhythm. They're going to be on time. That's where I wonder if a guy like a Jaquan Jackson that's played in that type of offense, Tulane was a run-heavy offense. People need to understand that.
Yeah.
He also he's around the same build as Taj.
Yep.
But he had 26 catches and 500 yards. So if you double that, he's at roughly almost the same amount of catches as Taj with almost the same amount of production. Like, his numbers, the minute you add those catches to him, he's almost identical to Taj Washington. But I don't think we have to pick him right here. I think we can possibly wait.
Okay, let's wait till the 7th.
So what do we got? We got O-tackle, linebacker, edge, interior line. What is the linebacker room? Is Nathaniel Watson still? He is. This is who I want. I like this kid.
Okay,
I think he comes in.
It's another linebacker depth piece.
There's a depth piece. He can be specials and come into it. You're gonna have to edit this part here, bud, but you're like fading in and out with your hat. It's vibrating. There you go. Okay. All right. So let's skip to our next pick.
Too close to the camera. So let's get down to the 7th round here. And what do you like? I mean, Do you want to take a receiver here at the last pick?
Oh, and the Raiders took him.
Took
Damn.
who? Oh, well, and also Taj
Well,
has got
Yeah.
Baker. So you're kind of like, eh. Who's a receiver room left?
What is
Anybody?
the big board showing us?
Yeah.
Not really. Let's see the receiver room. There is nobody in here that makes me go woohoo.
Okay. What about running? What about running back?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. All right, let's see. So Juwan Jordan, another decent back, Milton. If I'm going running back, I know Schrader's there.
Oh, I know.
But I'm looking for some value in what I'm getting, right? Like, you know what? I think we're gonna go with. I want to go with Jawar Jordan out of Louisville.
Running back. So this was another guy to add to the room, depth piece, and that's it, man.
Penny. Yeah.
Okay.
And
So
let's
really quickly look at this board, and let's just talk about this board really quick, and then kind of see compare it to sort of the board that you and I visually did. Obviously, Graham Barton's a stud.
Yep.
Completely different start. You go
Very
linebacker,
different.
offensive tackle compared to, corner / safety, potential superstar in the making in DeJean, and then Cooper Beebe. Well, you get a guy in the interior. If you were to look at everything we got, you got the same QB that you took. Junior Colson's an exciting guy. You look at this compared to what you just did when we did our comp drafts. Overall, what do you like? What do you see here that you like over your other one? And then your overall assessment here.
I kind of like the first 3 picks better in this draft than I do of my own. Graham Barton, Junior Colson, and Juwan Ellis. I think there's more value there, and there's a lot more potential of impact right away. And then when you look at the rest of the draft, Theo Johnson, we took a tight end pretty high in this. I think Theo Johnson definitely could be a starter in a couple of years and replace Noah Fant, who's kind of on a 1-year deal in a way. We went Michael Pratt again at quarterback, which I think is a solid pick. We got a good safety in Malik Mustafa, 2 of them in James Williams as well, that don't have to come in, start right away, but you got value of potential starters there that are a bit different too in what they do. Brandon Coleman, we've talked ad nauseum about him. But I do like how we got Nathaniel Watson. So we addressed another linebacker spot. So now you're going into camp with 4 linebackers, and you're not relying on a Patrick O'Connell or a Drake Thomas to actually play significantly if someone gets hurt. And then Jawar Jordan. I think he's a good running back. Nothing crazy, but I think he can come in and at least push Kenny for a spot, and worst case ends up on your practice squad.
Yeah. No, for sure. And I look at it like Graham Barton's a stud, but you know what? In our first mock, I think DeJean is just like a weapon and just a guy you can super get excited about. Graham Barton, obviously, lineman, obviously a vital, important position, but you get, just man, that energy. If you had like a DeJean coming in and just somebody be like, man, this guy could be opposite of Devin and just a chess piece for McDonald. But like you said, picking up like Colson at your second pick, that's also exciting. It's hard for me to say. I like we got a quarterbacks in all those drafts. Yeah, it's good, man. I did like the Taj. I like how we picked up a receiver. Getting where I got Zach Zinter in mind kind of excited me, like that's huge value down there. And I kind of like the value where I got my tight end. Obviously, the tight end that we got in this draft excites me. But the Tanner McLaughlin in the 6th round, I was like, okay, man, I like this kid. So it's hard to say. They're both different, but I mean, man, I honestly do like DeJean. Like, I'm really high on him lately, and I was just like, man, I could see him as a Seahawk. So I honestly, obviously, if we got Graham Barton, yes, just the flexibility. But man, I don't know if we were picking the late first round and he was still on the board, I would probably hope they got him.
I agree.
Yeah.
If I was to grade our mocks, I'd give your mock probably an A minus. I thought it was a really good mock. It was solid throughout. I'd give mine an A. This one I'd probably give a B plus to this
Right.
last one. that
I'm
we
around
did.
the same as you.
And I look at the reality of it. If a Cooper DeJean sitting, like the biggest stress point of this one, which obviously our listeners will kind of have to do with themselves, of what they would do. Do you take Michael Penix at 28 if he's sitting there?
Yes. And that was
That's the big caveat on this, because
what are you
you
doing?
take Michael Pratt out, we maybe add another piece, and we got, Cooper Beebe instead of Junior Colson, because we have to address different things, right? So that Michael Penix moment that we had there, and that what
Turning
do we
point.
do?
Crossroads.
It was really a crossroads on what you do. So,
Crossroads.
I think it'll be, if that is to happen, I think the most interesting thing will be for if Seattle trades back like we did, and a Cooper DeJean and a Graham Barton and a Michael Penix are there. What do you do if you're? I would not want to be John Schneider in that situation, because
tough spot.
It's a really tough spot, and it could either that to me, in my personal opinion, I think if Michael Penix is there at 28 and we're on the clock, I think they're handing in Michael Penix as the card.
I agree. And I think, like you said, you tried to be realistic. Would Penix be there? We both don't think he will be. So, but if he's there, I think you hand in that card. It's a crossroad. But again, these are scenarios that they play out. They know who's on their board, and if this happens, this happens. But still, there's always going to be tough decisions to be made, man. But what the point you brought up, let's hear it in the comments, guys. Throw the comments out there. What would you guys do, especially when you can't come to that crossroads? You got Graham Barton, a flexible guy, a stud, but then Michael Penix. You start thinking potential future franchise quarterback. So toss in the comments what you guys would do. Also, hit us up in the comments about my draft, Bryce's draft. Who's you like the best? What comparables you see? Because they align, and then they're similar, and then there's some differences. So toss the comments in there how you think we did in those mock comparisons. And we just really want to hear the feedback, because man, we are 6 days out here from the big day, and we're excited. So guys, that was awesome. We're gonna post these mocks up. We're also gonna post them up on our Twitter. And so guys, we are gonna be watching the draft. We're gonna recap day 1. We're gonna have Seahawk Nerd live for round 2. So make sure you tune in, check us out. Seahawk Nerd come back, huge analytical guy, been on our show a couple times, and he's gonna really break down round 1 recap, and then live as we go. Also, guys, check us out on Seahawks Forever coming up this Sunday night with Dan Vians. He's having us on the show. That's gonna be we're fired up and excited for that one coming up. Please go over to Dan's channel and check out that episode. That's probably gonna be dropping the following day. But just obviously, if you're subscribed to Dan's channel, Seahawks Forever, and you got that notification button clicked in, you're gonna absolutely know when that one drops.
Yeah, man, I can't wait. I'm really excited for our live show that we're going to do with Seahawks Nerd. And again, listeners, tune into it. It's going to be live. Post your comments. We'll have the draft going on one of the channels with you guys, as we're going to be breaking down each pick with Seahawks Nerd and his draft expertise. It's going to kind of be our Mel Kiper, our Daniel Jeremiah. So, yeah, man, we're super excited to do the live show with you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. So, guys, that's it for us tonight. A lot of stuff, a lot of cool stuff. Bryce, that was awesome, man. So yeah, lots coming up, and that's all for us tonight. And we will catch you guys on the next episode. Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.